characteristics make up an ideal waifu, or Overwatch character? How about the ability to render otherwise agile champions immobile while simultaneously brutally murdering them by shoving a fucking icicle into their skull? Maybe long-range snipes are more of your kind of thing. Or perhaps you get a special feeling downstairs every time you cock-block an enemy ultimate. If any of that sounded appealing or borderline erotic, then Mei is the character for you. That's because she can do all of that and more, seriously. This character's kit is more overloaded than a fucking Swiss Army knife. Now before we get into Mei's abilities and gameplay, there's a far more important issue we have to address. It's a question that has haunted the internet and the Overwatch community since the very beginning. Is Mei fat, or is she just wearing a really, really big coat? If you think I'm exaggerating at all, then you honestly have no idea what the fuck is going on out there. If I look up, is Mei on Google, the first things that pop up are, is Mei fat Overwatch and is Mei fat? If you go to either of these, the entire first page is just fucking different websites and people discussing whether or not Mei is actually fat or she just has a really thick coat. If you go to the image section, you're treated to dozens of different interpretations of this, many of which I can't actually show you on YouTube. Okay, so who's right in this debate, if you will? Is Mei actually fat, or is she just wearing a big coat? Well, if you look at some of Blizzard's concept art for her, and you look at other things such as sprays in the game, like this one from the Summer Olympics, or this one, you can see that Mei's really not portrayed as particularly thin or fat. In reality, she's really kind of in the middle. You could say she's curvy. But the real question is, why the fuck do you care? I'm not even trying to be, particularly socially progressive or accepting. I don't know, it's not like she's a female version of Roadhog. But enough about that. Let's talk about the real cool shit. Cool. Do you get it? Holding down Mei's primary fire releases an icy stream in front of her, kind of like a flamethrower. Except it's ice. So it's cold and not hot, because it's not fire. While it doesn't do a lot of damage, it slows enemies down, and not just their movement, it also slows down their ability to aim. So if you circle or move erratically, it's going to be really difficult for enemies to hit you. Give your enemy enough shaved ice and they'll eventually freeze in place for a second and a half, during which you can finish them off. Because Mei's primary fire is particularly short range, Blizzard decided to give her an alternate fire, which shoots giant fucking icicles, which tend to get lodged in the skulls of those who are unfortunate enough to be considered her enemies. Now that we've talked about her primary and secondary fire, we can talk about Mei's basic combo, which makes her an absolute beast in close quarters. First, she freezes you, and then she shoves an icicle so far into your cranium that not even global warming can save you. And if that isn't enough, she gives the icicle a little extra nudge as she forcefully fists the remnants of your brain with her gentle Asian fingers. Oh, and she'll laugh about it after, too. Mei's L1 encapsulates her in a miniature glacier, which makes her invulnerable and heals her over the duration. You can use this move to help heal and stall until your other abilities come off cooldown or your friends show up to help. It's also really useful for negating lethal ultimates like McCree's Deadeye. Bonus points for leaving your friends out to dry in the process. The heal portion on this move also rapidly charges your ultimate, so don't be afraid to heal outside of combat a little bit to gain some extra meter. Mei's arm one is a giant ice wall, which is kinda like a superpower. You can use it for good or for evil. You can use this move to make your escape after slaughtering a national hero. Simply set up a wall on a key pathway and triumphantly trot away as friends and family are only able to ask, why? You can also use it to do stuff like delay the enemy right at the start of the game. Sorry, Reaper. Besides just being able to block off enemies, Mei's wall also helps her offset the innate immobility in her kit. By aiming the wall under yourself, you can actually reach some high up places that you couldn't otherwise get to. As I demonstrated earlier though, be careful how you use this wall because you can really unintentionally screw over your own allies with it. Or intentionally, if you're an asshole. Like me. Oh, also, one more thing, you can rotate the direction of the wall with R1, and this can be useful in some situations. Mei's ultimate allows her to throw her little robot weather magic, which causes a miniature blizzard in the targeted area. This is basically like hitting everyone in that area with Mei's primary fire, allowing her and her team to wreak absolute havoc in the meantime. While Mei can do some cleanup by herself, this move is definitely more of a team ultimate, since it really won't kill anyone by itself. Try to use it with your team in a clutch moment, like on an objective point. Mei's ultimate actually charges pretty rapidly between blocking projectiles with her wall, healing inside her block, and basic combat. And that's a good thing, because even though I managed to not screw up while recording any of this, I really do mess this ultimate up a lot, so don't be afraid to throw it out there, because you'll get it back pretty fast. Overall, I think Mei comes together as a really satisfying character. Her kit is complicated enough to be variable and interesting, but not so deep that you get lost in all the intricacies. So whether you like ice, strategy, or curvy Chinese chicks, I think Mei is definitely a character you should be interested in trying out. And that's all I have for you for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, you can like or subscribe. Either way, I hope to see you in the next video. Later.